Da, da, theme song, theme song. Da, da, da.
I'm Tanya,
I'm Nikki.
and we are A Thousand Eyes in One, the podcast.
In morning. Oh man.
House of the Dragon, Season 2, Episode 5, Regent. To find previous episodes, go to thousandeyespodcast.com. You can also find us on YouTube, A Thousand Eyes in One Podcast. And if you'd like to follow us on social media, we're on Twitter as Thousand Eyes One, Facebook and Instagram, A Thousand Eyes in One. If you're interested in our speculative fiction book club, that is Wine on an Empty Stomach on Instagram.
Man, we start off in Drift Park.
Yeah, we have Corliss grieving.
Sad, slow tear, Corliss.
And Rhaenyra reflecting.
In the same place where she saw Silverwing just flying all alone, except now there was no dragon. His absence was noted.
In the meantime, King's Landing is going through it.
Yo, real quick, can we just talk about how we always say, like we've said every single fucking episode, that oh yeah, my F bombs are back. That the contrast between what like the real time split between what's happening in one place and what's happening in the other is just making the story that much more powerful.
Mm-hmm.
So to know that it's just like silence and quiet in Driftmark and on Dragonstone, and then they go to King's Landing.
Whew. Yeah, people are trying to pick the least rotten orange and eating those meager meals
and fighting over other stuff. And he's like, just take one.
Yeah, it's like the blockade is really messing them up.
Yeah.
And then here comes Kristen Cole,
FCC,
with a dead dragon head,
girl,
in a procession.
Let me ask you, how bad do you think that smells?
I thought you were going to ask me how good do I think it tastes.
Well, I hope you're not going to eat rotted dragon meat. I need you to have it like fresh off the battlefield, like
yeah, freshly roasted.
I mean, so if you guys don't, I mean, you guys wouldn't know this. Maybe some of you do. Tanya once posted on Facebook and or tweeted, "What do you think dragon flesh tastes like?"
Smoky
chicken. It's like Chipotle.
So they do this dead dragon procession and it's not received well. The people see it as an ill omen. We find out that they see dragons as gods.
Yep.
And
Gwaine knows. He was like, what the fuck did you think? He's like, we didn't actually win this battle. Like, if the Targaryens are god, like, are godlike, and they are the authority in our land, and the dragon is dead. Like, it's like we saw, remember when we saw the dragon fall in the last episode, Tanya? And now we've lost 2 dragons, and now the people are seeing this. They're seeing this.
And so they see it as an ill omen, to have a dragon head being paraded through the streets. And on top of that, in the background, you see that the rat catchers are still hanging.
I said they still rotten.
So it's a really bad look right now.
Yeah.
And Kristen Cole does not get the reception that he thinks he's gonna get.
No, he thought he was gonna get a hero's welcome, and they were like, yo, what the fuck are you guys doing? Because like the crazy thing about all this is somehow I don't know what it is in the minds of the royalty and stuff, because they're not like briefing the small folk on things that happen. They're like, oh, the rat catchers, they killed the fucking baby, or Rhaenyra is trash and look at what she did. But not like, oh, we're at war and these are the things that are happening. Your king went off to war. They're finding this out after the fact, but like, how come the king is not riding back in all his war glory? And you brought like the most stank piece of meat back ever, especially when people are starving.
People are starving, and here you come with this stink meat with flies all over it.
A wasted dragon. Like, y'all should have salted that and brought it in. At least you'd have like, I mean, but I don't. Do you think they would have eaten it?
Not if they think it's God. Not if they think dragons are gods. Alicent is openly suspicious of Aemon. She glances at him and she sees the dagger, Aegon's dagger,
Mm-hmm.
and right away she's like, "Oh, this motherfucker had something to do with it."
Absolutely. Absolutely. And like it's interesting to see. You mean Amond?
Yes,
Yeah,
she's
Amond.
suspicious of
Of
Aemon.
Amond. And it's really interesting to me the way that they always catch his one eye profile, right? It's not usually, they're not getting it from the other side, it's always eye patch. And
Mm-hmm.
so his expressions are kind of hard to discern, you know?
Mm-hmm.
Then they go up and they go around the front of his face, and you're just like, is that a smirk? Like, you look pretty self-satisfied. I don't really know what's happening here. Like, he's a bit unreadable, which I enjoy. I
Yeah.
enjoy. I mean, I'm enjoying Amond eye patch.
Um,
But also, they're smuggling in a charbroiled king.
yeah, like they have him in this little crate with rags and stuff thrown over it, I'm assuming, so that people don't know their king is inside.
Mm-hmm.
They probably don't want people to know the extent of his injuries. And I wonder if they sent word ahead to Allison and that maybe
They
that's why
must
she knew
have.
to be waiting,
Yeah,
right?
I think they must have. It's also, it's like, they're bringing a dragon back. So if I were the small folk, I would assume that there are war spoils in this case,
Hmm.
you know, because they wouldn't show that to the people. But like, look, um,
Either that or just like supplies,
yeah,
especially
yeah,
because it was just like rags and things
yeah,
kind
yeah.
of tossed around it. And I wondered how much time has passed since the battle and when they arrived at
Mm-hmm.
King's Landing, because not only is the dragon head rotting, but Aegon's injuries are beginning to look infected.
Yeah.
So it's been some time,
I
a
mean,
few
how long does it
days, a
take to
week.
like cart a dragon's head from Rook's Rest? We should consult the maps, but
How do you
imagine
even
just
cut it
like,
off?
dude. But you know what? I don't think that it was that difficult because remember, Vagar was like chomping through that
Oh,
neck,
yeah, you're right.
you
So it's
know?
probably already like partially off.
Yeah.
Oh, poor Melis.
Poor Melis. She didn't deserve that.
No, she did not. Helena is again ignored.
Again.
It's interesting that Alicent, as queen, was sitting in her husband's councils, was part of his care, all of these
Mm-hmm.
things. And Helena's just kind of tossed to the side and
Yeah.
forgotten about.
Well, it's because she's being weird. They just don't know how to deal with her. It's so funny because I was just thinking about like if Helena was Princess Jasmine, she would have been able to sneak in and out of that castle no problem because nobody paid attention to her. Yeah. I was like, I have Amy. He's like a battlefield nurse with an agenda. Oh man. But I also, real quick, I also love the time that they spent in King's Landing in contrast to how much time they spent with like the blacks, right? It's just
Hmm.
like there's nothing like for me, it was a little bit symbolic of the fact that they have lost something on the side, but now there's nothing that can replace it. That's it. What they lost is final. It's gone. There's nothing else to report, whereas like, oh shit, there's all these developments. There's the dragon Melees, but she's rotting just like the fucking king is. Um, yeah, just whew, man, so
So
many
yeah,
things.
his armor is like burned to his body. He has
Mm-hmm.
a compound fracture in his leg. They have to snap it back in place. Like
Mm-hmm.
he is terribly, terribly injured. The
Yeah.
armor removal was particularly disgusting.
Yeah. I mean, you're removing like dragon. It was reminding me of like Jorah, right? Removing dragon scale. And when you have dragon scale
Yeah.
armor, like literally that same thing. But I will say for people who haven't read the books, like that part, they stayed true to the book, which I appreciated. I was
Hmm.
wondering how they would portray that. And like, ooh, I didn't know I would be so disturbed watching somebody peel armor off of somebody else.
And
Ugh.
I was kind of sad that Aegon the Conqueror's armor was ruined.
Yeah, I
Like that
mean,
was a
for real,
relic.
it was a relic.
It
It
was a
was a
relic.
relic. And then you feel sad for Egon too. Like we keep talking how we just want to fucking hate him, but we just keep seeing that this is a little boy playing at war. He was being impulsive, and now he fucked around and he found out.
After we asked our last episode if Aemond was actively trying to kill the king when he set Vagar on them,
Mm-hmm.
or if he just didn't care if the king got caught in his crossfire. Because those are kind of two different things, right?
Mm-hmm.
What do you think after this episode?
I think I think he didn't care. I think he's like collateral damage. If somebody needs to step up, it's obviously going to be me, you know? And I think that there's definitely an undercurrent of, this should have been me anyway because he's such an idiot. I mean, I think that Aemon looks at Aegon and is just like, I wouldn't do that. Why do you keep doing shit that you're not supposed to do? Like he would not do that. I think he sees himself definitely above him. Um, and I mean, as far as he's concerned, his plan worked, even though it was a terrible failure because both sides lost so many lives for what? Some bullshit ass castle.
Right, that nobody really wants
That
anyway.
nobody, yeah, that nobody wants. And so I think, like, if you're coming home with the head of a dragon, like, it must make you feel pretty powerful. Like, this is
Mm-hmm.
your spoils of war. This is what your dragon did. This is how your dragon is turning the tides of the war and it's proving that you're capable. Like, you brought down a dragon, like, sure, you lost two other ones, in the meantime, but like, you brought down a dragon. And I think, let's say that it's a king's trial and he passed. Aegon failed, you know?
I wondered if obviously Aemon didn't plan to kill Aegon that day,
Mm-hmm.
but I wonder if when he saw Aegon up there, he thought like, well, here's an opportunity.
Mm.
I'm still going back and forth on that.
Yeah, you know what? It reminds me. Have you seen The Secret of Nim?
Long time
A long
ago.
time ago. So there's this part where I forgot what that rat's name is, but like Nicodemus is like helping move the thing, and before they start moving, Mrs. Frisbee's house out of the thing, the rat is like, yo, this is an opportunity to get him out of the way because accidents fucking happen. They fucking happen. And who would know if like a rope cut, it slips, it falls on him. And that would be the end of like he's the most influential voice, right? And that's the end of that power. And that's what it reminds me of as you're talking about it, because what do they say? If he dies, he dies.
If he dies, he dies.
Yeah, it's the way the wheel
And
turns.
it's interesting that Kristen Cole, because later on we find out that they lost 900 men
Mm-hmm.
and they started with, I think, 1,500.
Yeah.
So they've lost more than half the army.
Mm-hmm.
Their king is on the brink of death.
Yep.
The dragon, they've lost the dragon. And yet Kristen Cole sees it as a win.
Sweet summer child.
Because they got Rook's Rest,
Yeah. Well,
which
on
isn't
bullshit castle.
particularly, yeah, it's not, they're not particularly rich. They're not like strategically important.
Yeah. And everybody knows that.
It's really
Everybody knows
just,
that.
taking that castle is just a dig at Rhaenyra.
Yeah.
And it was a plan to draw, I mean, I guess killing Rhaenys um was a win in a way for them.
Yeah. I mean, they wanted to
Probably
draw out a
hoping,
dragon, which is, I think, what you wanted to, you were
yeah,
about to say. They wanted to draw out a dragon and they did. So, in that sense, it's a win because they know that Meleys is one of the older dragons. She's big, she's fast, she's all the things. And now they have one less dragon on the blacks. But like the rest of it, like, that was a fucking waste.
mm-hmm.
It was a fucking waste.
Someone must rule in his stead, says Aemond. And obviously, he's like, it's me.
It's me. And
It's
Allison
my
stands
time.
up and like delivers her speech. And she's like, well, obviously it should be me. And they're like, yeah, that's cute. Sit down.
Yeah, it's since Kristen has come home, he's been kind of cold towards her, right?
Mm-hmm. Oh my God, that part where he was like cleaning his sword and she walks in like, yo, what
And he's
happened?
like,
I don't
the king
know.
fought valiantly.
He's like, I don't know. I'm like, dude, this is her son. Like, not only it's like the king, sure, but it's also her son. Are you kidding me?
Yeah.
Ugh, FCC. That's what it says in my notes.
And she asks him also what was Aemon's part in it.
Mm-hmm.
Do you does Kristen Cole know that, because he's watching this happen from the ground. So
Right.
does he know that Aemon burned up the king, or does he think Rhaenys did it?
I honestly do not know because it's like if you got three dragons flying in there and suddenly up goes the two, they're battling and everybody can see that. And then suddenly there's Vagar. um I don't we don't I don't know what he saw from the ground. I don't know what he saw from the ground because um later when he's outside with Allison, he has like, I mean, I will say that since he's come back, he has like a haggard and haunted expression,
Oh, he's
right?
absolutely traumatized by what he's
Yeah.
seen. Because
He,
remember, he hasn't fought like a real battle, certainly not a
exactly.
dragon battle.
Exactly. So like if you're talking about like their armor was melted to them, this and that, maybe because, Rhaenys was like Dracarys and like burning up the battlefield, that's really distracting. You're like seeing people screaming on fire. So maybe he wasn't, looking up in the sky. Um, but I feel like if you're from the ground, you just see three dragons and I want to run and hide.
Yeah. And I mean, not only does he see three dragons fight, but he knows that the one that has his king has crashed to the ground.
Mm-hmm.
Like that's a lot going on. So perhaps he doesn't know that Aemon Dracarys him.
Mm-hmm. It'd be hard to tell, like, all right, like, there's dragon fire going on everywhere. Whew, damn.
One of Aemon's first commands after he's set everybody to task is cut down those fucking rat catchers.
I loved that. Honestly,
Yeah.
I really love that. It's just like because okay, hold on a second. We're gonna talk about this. So I love that he asked him to cut it down because it's like on one hand, you're like, this is an absolutely reasonable request,
Mm-hmm.
like here's someone, and even the other things that they say around the table, uh, it's just like, okay, well, he studied, he knows what he's talking about. He might not be any more experienced at war than literally anybody else at the table, which we find out also when we go to Rhaenyra's small council meeting. But he at least has a sense of what needs to happen next. But I think this scene, where they've decided that he's going to be the regent, and like Allison just gets talked over, and like I
Mm-hmm.
thought when I was watching it, I was like, something is wrong with my volume. What is
Oh.
going on? Because it just lowered, and you just like hear like they're murmuring, and you just hear like this boom, 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 and she's just sitting there feeling forgotten. And I honestly wish she would have asserted herself in one of those moments and been like, listen to them talk about the small folk and like close the gates and don't let them out. And you're like, yo, are you like, have you not seen Game of Thrones?
It's like she looked to Lara, she looked to Kristen Cole
Mm-hmm.
and didn't get support there. So she was showing feet in racial chat rooms for nothing.
Dude, And meanwhile, the Maester, I keep forgetting his name. The Maester's like, yo,
I believe it's
actually, it makes
Orwell.
sense. Maester Orwell, I think. He's there. He supported her. He
Mm-hmm.
was the only one who gave us support. And that was really shocking to me. I didn't expect that. Um, but even though her son is burnt to a fucking crisp and like broken, she still has managed to keep a level head and to a certain degree like a macro view on what's happening. And
Mm-hmm.
we don't like Allison either, but as like a woman in power, as a mother, as a dowager queen, like she does have a lot of qualities that I think would have been useful in what they were doing, because
But
it's just you're watching them tear Viserys. Is like every episode, piece by piece, you're tearing all the threads out of the tapestry that was Viserys's reign.
Laris did have a point though. How would it look for them to raise up a woman where they're discounting Rhaenyra's claim based on
Yeah,
her sex,
exactly.
right?
Yeah.
So like his point was valid.
Mm-hmm.
You can't say a woman can't be the ruler and
And
then have a
then,
woman as the ruler,
yeah,
even
exactly.
region or not.
Yep.
Because even when she was ruling in Viserys' stead, it was really Otto.
Yeah. Yeah. Where the fuck is Otto? Why haven't we seen him?
He's with Daron
I
somewhere.
know, but how come we haven't been there?
I know it's weird. Like
It's weird. We've known since
nobody's
episode
talked about
one.
like no one's talked about him since. It's so
Yeah.
weird. I got
Even
the
Gendry.
impression, yeah, even Genji rolling away. I got the impression that the small council had talked about the Regency without Allison because it seemed like their minds were made up and the way they were looking at each other while she was talking, it seemed like, oh, like
Mhm.
how do we tell her?
Yeah. And we know that they've done this before.
Exactly.
They're no
When they
stranger
talked
to
about
meeting behind her back.
exactly.
The precedent has been set.
So did Allison and Crispy break up?
I like when she was like, I didn't give you leave to call me by my name.
And she asked, "Did you so you cast me aside?" And I'm like, "Wait, are y'all
Mm-hmm.
breaking up?" Like, did they break up?
I don't know. I guess they must have. I don't know.
It seems like it. I think she's fed up.
She
I
must
thought it.
be.
I liked when she was like, "Does his loyalty? What does she say? Like, does it only come at night and disappear in the
Yeah,
morning or something
yeah,
like
yeah,
that?"
yeah. What was that song? Will you still love me tomorrow? Yeah.
And the answer is no. So her and Crispy looks like
Ah,
they broke up. I guess that's the end of that.
yeah.
And now King's Landing, nobody can leave,
Nobody can leave.
which hmm,
I mean,
they
that's
don't want
always a
people.
problem.
Yeah,
Always a problem. Because the other thing is like, at this point they named the regent, but they could have not said anything. They had no idea that Egon was hurt.
right.
Like they could have had the regency going on like, just like like behind closed doors, let them like we rule this shit because we don't know what happens like, in government all the time. And they're absolutely ignorant of everything. So they could have done it because now you're sending the people into a panic because wait a second, do we have a new king? You killed a dragon, there's a new king, and now we can't leave.
Right.
It's the makings of a riot.
Yeah. And I know we're kind of skipping around a bit, but
Yeah, that's fine.
just to stay in King's Landing for a while, we learned that Hugh Hammer still hasn't been paid for the work he did building equipment, and their daughter sick.
Still,
And when everyone tries to leave, they can't leave either.
yeah.
And so the people are getting more and more upset. So now you have them locked in the city. They can't leave to go get help. They can't leave to go get food. They have no food. There's, nothing is good. It's like, because it's not like King's Landing has farms. It's the surrounding places where they get everything. And now you add to it this omen of a dead dragon, and Hugh Hammer's wife, when she says, do they think Rhaenyra will not respond to that?
It's like, where's the
Like she's
bag?
but no, I mean like about Rhaenyra responding to the fact that Maylise's head is being dragged around. Like
Mm-hmm.
that's a valid fear.
And somebody said that, like I had the captions on for my rewatch, and somebody said that when they were bringing the dragon in, it's like Rhaenyra will answer for this, or
Yeah.
we'll have answer for this or something.
Yeah.
I mean, from I spoke to somebody who I disagree had a difference of opinion on about just like the lives of the small folk and that kind of stuff. And I get where they were coming from about I don't really want to see that, but we've talked about this for 7 seasons or some shit about how it's really great to see them because we have a barometer of what's going on in the world of people who are actually impacted by these nobles playing their silly games. They're being able to see just what the small folk are going through. um it's just the dragon is dead, the king is fucking replaced, but even if you go back to the very beginning of Aegon's coronation, like they were shepherded into the dragon pit. They
At
didn't have
like
a
5
choice.
a.m.
At 5 a.m. they woke up, they say, hey bitches, wake up, we got a party. And then they shoved them into the dragon pit. They watched the coronation, right? They watched Rhaenys escape on that same dragon that they're dragging back through the streets. Like, I would have little faith in the rule of this king.
In this case, obviously I'm not gonna give spoilers, but in this case, seeing what the small folk is going through is also really important to the story.
Absolutely.
So it's actually really important here. So I'm not gonna spoil anything, of course.
No
But
spoilers.
no spoilers, no
No
book
book
spoilers.
spoilers.
Unless it's already happened in the show.
Exactly.
But it's in this case, it is very important to know what's going on with the small folk.
Absolutely.
And Miss Arya makes some really good points about it when she's talking to Rhaenyra. She said, "To the discontented, rumors are feed."
I love that line. I
Yeah.
love it. And she's telling her this, like, I love when she also said she's like, don't underestimate
Mm-hmm.
your subjects. It's like you guys might wear the crowns and stuff, but they're not stupid. They're just
Right.
not rich.
And yeah, maybe one person can't do much, but
Mm-hmm.
when you add up 1,000 of them,
A thousand
like
eyes
you're
and
in
one of
fucking
them.
trouble. Yeah, like one guy isn't going to be able to take down a king's guard,
No,
but you only have 7 of those, and you send in 1,000 fucking people. Guess what? People are
exactly.
getting torn apart.
And she's like, we have a you have a thousand.
Hmm. Um, Rhaenyra's council is still being
Yo, trifling, disrespectful,
so
out of pocket.
disrespectful. All of that. Sir Alfred
Hmm.
in particular. I liked how she dragged him. And she said, "There's been peace in our
Yeah,
lifetime. You've seen,
exactly. He was like, "Woman, you don't know what you're talking about," and she was like,
you've seen no more battles than I have."
"Nope, nope, nope, no." She's like, basically, it was a you ain't shit either.
But the other people's reactions to that was really funny to me because
Mm-hmm.
they're all kind of like raising eyebrows, like, "Oop,
Mm-hmm.
got him."
Yeah, man. Yeah. I mean, I really.
They really talked around her, like she said.
Mm-hmm.
And an interesting thing. So this time I didn't watch at home. I watched at
Me
my
neither.
in-laws' house. Yeah, I watched at my in-laws' house, and they're like they have like a family room set up with surround sound.
Yeah.
And so with
Ooh.
watch, yeah, yeah.
I watched it on the
It's
Sonos surround.
yeah,
It was
he has
dope.
like the old school surround sound with speakers on stands and like
Yeah, that's what's
yeah.
up.
So when the council was talking around Rhaenyra, the you can't see me waving my arms, but the audio was panning left and right to like show them kind of talking just
Mm,
around her. And I thought that was really cool.
that
It
is
was
really
well
cool.
done.
Shout out to you, audio engineers, for this episode.
Yes, shout out to you because you did a great job. I always enjoy little things like that.
Hmm. I enjoyed the cuts a lot in this episode. It's like you're seeing, I forgot who was walking out of a room and then they cut and you see somebody who's like left Rhaenyra's room, before they had the
Hmm.
conversation with Saria. And I was just like, yo, they just like they're getting everything right.
And showing Alicent being talked over and then showing
Hmm.
Rhaenyra being talked over, it again is
Exactly.
making it like an Alicent versus Rhaenyra thing when it really isn't. It's Alicent versus Aegon. It's just I mean
Yeah, a Rhaenyra
Rhaenyra
versus
versus
Aegon.
Aegon.
But I think like don't take it really as like I know that's what they're making it, but I take it as just like there are these two women and they're experiencing the same thing. It's not even that they're like the yes, we know that the Greens versus the Blacks, like that's the Civil War is that, but it's just like they're both encountering the same resistance, the same problems with men, um, and resisting their authority and stuff. And it's just damn, y'all. Damn. I should have stayed homies.
Yeah, imagine what it would have been like if they had worked together.
She would have made have had like a first hand of the queen,
Yeah, I was
a
gonna
woman.
say she could have made Alicent her hand and
Hmm.
because remember Aegon was like, I'm fine not challenging her claim. Like,
Exactly.
you can have it.
Otto was like, wait, what? But so let me ask you a question. We haven't talked about this really. Let's say that they hadn't challenged her claim and she was able, Rhaenyra, she was able to like say she keeps Otto on, well, not him, but like let's say things went differently. Do you really think the realm would have been like, but it's a woman if
I
she'd
think
had the
that
support of the council?
I think that there would have been some people who had a problem with it for sure.
Mm-hmm.
But I think that if the lords and everyone accepted it and followed what Viserys's plan was, that the people in general would have gone along with it
I think so
and
too.
would have been fine with it. And they would look to like Visenya, who ruled with Aegon the
Yep.
Conqueror
And we
and was
see her,
like a
she comes
warrior
up.
queen. Yeah, and she was like a warrior queen.
Yeah. This is the second time that we've encountered Visenya, right?
Mhm.
Because it was like last episode where she was reading the histories. And then this time where
And she was reading a
just
history this time about Visenya when Jace comes in.
exactly, exactly. And I love that. So I'm really curious to see what she takes from it.
Well, one
But
of the things
yeah.
she took from it was, fuck, I can't fight.
Yeah.
She, instead of being trained in the sword, as she said, she was her father's cupbearer.
But I feel like that's more valuable. right?
Being the
Because she
cupbearer.
being the cupbearer, because you get to hear like look at Arya Stark, right? She was Tywin's cupbearer, and she was able to like get all this information. And I don't think that Viserys, like of course she could have been training with the sword and shit, right? But I think Viserys was actually, this was his way of training her, because this is where the decisions happen. It's not just
Oh,
by the sword.
definitely.
Yeah.
Definitely, definitely. But remember, I got really annoyed that Daenerys couldn't fight.
Yeah.
That's kind of how I felt. I felt for Rhaenyra here, not annoyed at her, but at the fact that, you know, she should at least be training, even if she's not going to become some warrior. If she's going to be the person in charge,
Yeah. I
maybe
mean,
she should learn a little something.
yeah, especially if you're gonna be, I mean, I guess you're like, oh, you have a dragon, you don't really need to fight, you know?
Yeah,
But
that's
like
true.
y'all ain't like working out your thighs and shit, like in your glutes. There's no how to stay
I
on a
mean,
dragon thing.
truthfully, everyone in the royal family should be able to defend themselves
Truly. Truly.
because you just should. In Rhaenyra's case specifically, at
Yeah.
least when they decided she was the heir, maybe she should have done some training. I don't know.
Yeah, no, I agree with you. I agree with you. Some kind of thing, especially if you're the heir as a woman, Because especially if you're the heir
Because
as a
you would,
woman and you're just like you're looking at Visenya, you don't think Visenya knew how to fucking fight?
well, Visenya
you
absolutely
know?
knew how to fight. Visenya is the reason that they have a King's Guard. Do you remember the story about that?
Mm.
She pulled out a sword and like sliced Aegon's face to prove that like the guards he had were too slow and that he needed to
Mm.
like have a proper guard.
Like Arya when she went back to Winterfell.
Oh, I hate that storyline.
uh,
Um,
somebody told me the other day that it was a perfect show from start to finish, and I just smiled.
you can't see my face, but I would have thrown up.
Yeah,
Um,
yeah, it was hard.
to go back a bit, Bela and Jace have their moment. Jace, as we know, is feeling humiliated because
Yeah.
his mommy is treating him like a baby. And he decides he's gonna go off and handle some shit on his own. Now, the first thing he said he was gonna do was go to Harrenhal and
Mm-hmm.
to make Damon swear fealty again,
Yep.
essentially.
Yep.
So he's wondering as well, like, all right, what
Nobody's heard from
what
him.
now? Yeah,
Nobody's heard from him. Like they haven't heard. It's like, how can they not think that he's amassing his own army and keeping quiet about it?
right. Because he's Damon.
Not even I got home text.
Right. You reach,
Yeah, you reach? No, not.
but instead he ends up going to treat with the Freys so that the Starks can pass quickly into the Riverlands.
Yeah, my note was like, okay, go ahead, Jace.
Yeah,
I thought it
yeah.
was such a smart move
It was a smart move.
because you
Going
need
to
that
Harrenhal
crossing.
would not have been as smart.
As we all know, you need that crossing.
Yeah.
I love that they met in the middle of the bridge on some "you
Yeah.
shall not
They're like,
pass" shit.
yeah. And he showed up with a dragon. They didn't give a fuck.
Nope.
Like, sorry, kid, you're not fearsome.
Yeah,
Aemon and Vhagar, however,
yeah.
are fucking
You
terrifying.
ain't heard what he did.
Yeah.
See you out here killing any dragons with your dragon. And didn't your brother get bit? Like as far as we know, every time that one of the blacks brings out a dragon, it goes terribly wrong.
Yeah.
Yeah, no funsies.
Moving on from Jace for now, Damon confronts the
Motherfucking
Brackens on
Damon.
his, I was gonna say on his tiger for some reason. On his dragon. There's no tigers. On his dragon. And the Brackens are apparently about that life because they said, fine then, bitch, burn us.
Mm-hmm. What did they say? We'd rather die something.
He'd rather be Lord of Bones and Ash.
We choose fire.
Yes.
We choose fire, and he would rather be Lord of Bones and Ash.
And Damon is so like befuddled at this decision. At first, when he's sitting there and he's like, I didn't think they'd be so eager to die. I thought he killed them.
Yeah.
But then, we find out he did not kill them. So they kind of called his bluff.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, because you
And
see like Caraxes like lowering his head. I'm like, oh,
yeah.
look at that. No off-screen deaths. Moving on. Yeah. Wait. Did they not die though? Because he was saying that did they leave? Because hold
They
on.
no, they left.
They
He said that
left?
he said he kept them alive because he's not trying to build an army of corpses.
Okay, right.
And later on, we find out that the Lord did end up bending the knee under duress.
Right. Yeah, and he was like, you know what? He's like, they would rather burn than succumb, and that's the type of people that he needs. Like he sided with the
Mhm.
wrong side of that, the wrong side, honestly. Of course, they didn't declare for Rhaenyra, but yeah,
Well, later on, it turns out to be a bad move though, because
he sanctioned war crimes.
yeah, he sanctioned war crimes, and the River Lords are upset about it. And so
Mm-hmm.
here you were supposed to be gathering the River Lords, but now they think that they don't want to support a tyrant
Exactly,
who's
and you know what?
despoiling women and children and
Ex-
burning and looting crypts.
exactly. First of all, it reminds me of Sir Gregor Clegane's clique,
Hmm.
just out there being terrifying. But also, we see this again where, when Blood and Cheese were like, well, what do we do if we don't find them? And like on screen, Damon doesn't say anything. He just gives them a look. And he did the same thing. He just gives them a look. And I was like, this motherfucker
But
knows
he even
all
said,
about plausible deniability.
yeah, he was like, "You take my meaning, then."
Mm-hmm.
Like he knew he was telling him to go do war
Of
crimes.
course, but the words never came out of his mouth.
Too bad they were waving a Targaryen banner while they did it,
I don't know why he didn't expect that to happen. I would have been
because
like,
he
no, no, no,
doesn't
no, no, do your
because
own
he
thing.
doesn't fucking think things through.
Fucking Damon, murder
Let's
dick
talk about
Damon.
Damon hallucinating.
Yo, I gotta say, during this episode, I was yelling. I yelled so many times. I was like, "What? Oh my god!" Like this was a shouting episode for me, which is crazy because like last episode we saw so much action, but this was just like we're getting into politics and intrigue and I some people I feel like may not have liked the episode for this, but like we're doing like world building and exposition here because
Well, it
what's
was
to come
setting a lot of
next?
it set a lot of things up.
Scene
So
setting.
because like we're seeing King's Landing being unhappy with Aegon, and the people of King's Landing, not like the lords of the Crownlands. We're seeing them being somewhat unhappy with their situation. But then you have the River Lords who are getting pissed at Rhaenyra because they think half of them think she's a baby killer, and now Damon is there fucking shit up, or having someone fuck shit up on his behalf. And
My note here is murder, kill,
but
kill.
yeah, so it's this is a building episode, I think. But
Yeah.
so
Yeah.
Damon, first he's hallucinating screaming, and he turns around and he sees Alice standing
Creepy
there.
ass Alice,
That spooky bitch. I love
too.
her.
Yeah.
She, for some reason, before the River Lords come to him, and before the note comes that the Blackwoods have, uh, brought the Brackens to heel, she already knows that something happened because she's a witch, right?
Mm-hmm. You know
So
what?
it made me wonder, like, is it the curse of Harrenhal, or is Alice somehow causing him to hallucinate?
Oh, I think that, well, I mean, I don't know if he's still taking what she's giving him to drink,
I would
but,
hope not after the first time.
after the first one, um, if you guys were jumping all over the place, I'm seeing things on my notes after the fact, and it's like, um, it's when they're talking was either talking about, oh, there's a new king or whatever. I was like, there's no Twitter, but also that when they lock the gates, it's like minstrels, right? Reigns of Castamere. Anyway, yeah, no, she's creepy. She's witchy. I don't know what's going on. So wait, that screaming dream, is that before the other dream? It is, right?
Yes,
Okay,
it
okay.
wasn't a dream. He was
It was that.
outside working and he just heard like screaming and he turned around and like
Mm,
looks around, but there's nobody screaming. And then he sees Alice up on like a balcony looking down at him.
yeah. And then his hands are all weak because he doesn't know how to. I actually, but I don't know. Like, I feel like if you're using a sword and training with the sword, like, don't
I
you
don't
have
think his hands
calluses
were,
already?
yeah, I don't think his hands were weak. I think he was just doing a lot of work.
Yeah. She's like, princess shouldn't do this. And he's like, bitch, I'm a king.
So his conversation with the castellan whose name I always forget,
Sir Simon,
Simon.
I wrote that down.
Thank
I'm
you for
impressed
that.
with myself.
Thank you for that. It
You're
makes it
welcome.
clear that Damon wants to be the king.
Well, he tells that to Alice.
He tells it to Alice. He also tells it to Simon.
It's
And he
like,
says over and over that that Rhaenyra needs a man to guide her or whatever, however he worded it, and that
because the people won't accept it.
the people will be looking to a man for strength. He said she'll never succeed, so it's like he's been thinking this all along, and we were right that he's been helping her with this claim to put himself on the throne.
Mm-hmm.
And so then does it become Rhaenyra versus Aegon and Daemon?
Well, this is what the phrase said in that meeting, right? She was
Right.
like, well, is it one dragon or two? Is there three dragons? And I was like, ooh, they know about Damon. They know Damon's at Harrenhal and hasn't done anything.
Mm-hmm.
Also, not amassing any armies, but they know he's there. Word travels. Word travels. Damon's all like, who am I? And they're like, the king
You know
consort.
what? I'm wrong. The screaming was after that other dream. Let's talk
Got
about
it.
that other dream.
I was like, is Damon dreamcasting? Because what is going on,
Dude,
dude?
he
That
has a whole dream.
I was trying to figure out who that is. I was like, well, she's a Targaryen. I was like, is this the sister that we don't know about? Nope.
No,
Nope.
he dreams about fucking the ever loving shit out of his own mother.
Mm-hmm.
Not only that, but in this dream, she's telling him how much better he is than
Mm-hmm.
Viserys.
It should have been him.
Mhm.
I was like, oh, just off my note was like, oh my God, oh my God, oh my God. But I'm grateful for the long shot of the prince trapped in a box. Wink, wink. um, yeah.
Yeah. So
I was just like, I was in shock, and then I got shocked again. That whole scene kept becoming more and more shocking.
yeah, when she said my favorite son, I gasped out loud.
Dude.
And what made me remember that this happened before the other hallucination and when he has that talk with Alice is that Alice says to him, isn't it a shame you never knew your mother? And so
Yo,
that makes me think she knows about his dream. And so again, what are Alice's powers?
what are
Because
they?
why would she say something about his mother?
Yeah. And you know what? It's like I don't think that this is really spoilery, but maybe you can, because I don't remember. Is it? I thought that Missaria was the one who was rumored to have like witchy powers. Like, didn't she? She was a white worm. Didn't they think she bathed in blood and all and stuff? Not
I
Alice
don't
Rivers.
believe so. No, I think Alice Rivers was always
She
the
was
witchy
it.
one.
Yeah. And then they're looking at each other. I'm like, just kiss. Yeah. So Alice is creepy. Just like, how does she know about the dreams? Um, is she sending them to him? I don't know. Does she have like a crystal
That was my
ball?
question. Like, is she making this happen? Like when he hears the screaming later, I imagine it's the screaming of the Bracken peasants, right?
Mm-hmm.
And it's like she sent it to him.
Yeah.
I don't know. I think she's absolutely doing some witchy shit, and I
Yeah.
hope that we get some more magicy shit in
Yeah.
this.
Because we see that. Like we know that like what's her name? The red woman.
Melisandre?
Yes. Yes. So we know that witchy things are possible. We know that they happen. We just haven't really seen them here. And I can't wait because like she's just creepy, spooky Alice Rivers. and just like but I enjoy that we've got somebody like that in the show, because you see her, you're like, okay, well, I guess this woman's going to be important, but you don't think she's going to be impacting like Damon, Damon, who everybody else is like kind of like, come on, dude, fuck you, whatever. Like, we kind of know like what your angle is here, and people are a little bit afraid of him, but they know that he's like a spoiled brat rogue prince. And here's this creepy woman who was just bringing the torments down on him. And I
And
am
talking so
here
much
for
shit while
it.
doing
Oh,
it.
yeah. That's why I think they're going to smash.
And he hasn't acted against her. Like he gets on everybody else about calling him,
Mm-hmm.
well, from your grace to now, my king.
Girl.
And with her, she says whatever the fuck she wants to him.
Mm-hmm.
And she's spooky, so he kind of lets it ride. But Damon still doesn't want to write to Rhaenyra. He doesn't want to ask for coin. He wants to handle everything himself because he's the king,
Yeah.
apparently.
And does he even
And
have
so,
money like that?
I mean, he must have his own money
Yeah, but like
somewhere.
Lannister money?
I don't know.
Yeah, because I mean, Sir Simon's like, so where's the budget? When do we get paid? And he's like, don't worry, I got you. And he's like, no, 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 but when? And the way that everybody dropped and stopped eating when he was like, so about that money, and he was like,
He was a little bit sassy too when
mm-hmm.
he was like, well, what do you call the husband of the queen? And he's like, king. And then he's like, exactly.
And he's
He's
like,
like,
consort,
consort.
bitch.
Like, I know he's getting a little sassy, and I
Yeah.
think that he is not really with this whole Damon taking over.
No, I don't think so
He
either. Because it'd be one thing if Damon came in, like he opened his doors to him. He's like, "What? Whatever. This castle's yours. We're not going to fight you. You brought a dragon, right?" But then just to see him fumbling, like move after move, and being cruel and being unreasonable and just taking drastic actions and allowing the things that he's allowed, it's just like I have no respect for this guy. I have no respect to this guy, and I know he's not operating with the consent of the queen. The
right,
only reason I'm going along with this is because this fucker has a dragon at my at my fucking doorstep.
right. And it's like I thought I was kneeling to Rhaenyra.
Exactly. Exactly. Whew.
He also hallucinates Lena again, Damon, who
Dude,
asks if she checked on his daughters.
I said it's the hour of the wolf. Do you know where your children are?
Do they still do that at 10
I
o'clock?
don't know. I know that from TV. I've never seen it like IRL because I did not.
Oh, no. Oh, right, because you didn't grow up here.
Yeah.
Yeah, that was definitely a real thing. It's 10 o'clock. Do you know where your children are? Like, I'm like, why did our parents have to be reminded every night that they had kids?
Like right before the
So
TV played the national anthem and shut off for the night.
it was right before the news. It was right before the news. And they're like, hey, by the way, you still have kids, right? You
Yeah,
know that?
yeah.
Like, where do you know where they are right now? Because it's 10 o'clock. I wonder if they still do that. I don't know. I don't watch the news at night anymore.
Yeah, probably not.
In any case, Lena is like, when's the last time you checked on your daughters, bro? So he's being haunted by Lena. He's being haunted by his mom,
Who we
who's,
never met.
yeah, what's the deal with that? Did she die while he was a baby?
Mm-hmm.
I don't
Yeah,
I
not
don't
sure. I don't
remember.
remember either, and I wanted to go look it up, but I was afraid it was going to spoil something for me.
Yeah, I don't remember, so I'm not gonna look it up. Anyway, Rhaenyra is sending Sir Alfred to Harrenhal
Mm-hmm.
to kind of suss out what's up with Damon.
Yeah, and he's like,
Because
"Wait,
even
are you?"
yeah, are you kicking me out?
And but she
But
kept it
even
real. She was like, "You're getting on my nerves a little bit, but like, I need somebody else to go figure this out."
yeah, and send him because you're being annoying, so I'm sending you.
Mm-hmm.
But even she's now suspicious of what Damon is up to.
Yeah,
She says to find out if he's raising an army for me or for himself.
yeah.
And he's like, he wouldn't dare.
Oh, he's daring.
I like Book Damon better
I love
as a
Book
as a
Damon.
person.
Yeah, well, yeah, he was actually, yeah, yeah. Oh, that's all I say. I agree.
Yeah.
I,
Just like as a person. I don't mean like the portrayal.
yeah.
Um yeah, Damon wants to be king, yo. This is such a
I
clusterfuck. So now it's
just
like you
can't wait.
So it's like you have to fight your brother. Now you're gonna have to fight your husband.
To be
Like,
king.
and it's interesting to me that Damon thinks he would be so good at
Oh
king,
my God.
and he thinks that he was so much better than Viserys and would have been a king when he is fucking flopping
Dude,
right
left
now.
and right. Like everything,
Nobody
you're
wants to follow him.
alienating everybody. Like
Yep.
even when they came in to talk about, he's like, "How dare you? I got to teach you some manners. You're coming in and waking up your king from his bed." And I was like, "But bitch, you're not king." And they know it
Right.
too.
Right.
Like you killed their people. You're murdering children. Wives are getting carried off and being raped. Like kids are getting killed in front of their mother's eyes. Like, nah, this is, we know it's because of you.
Right.
Whew. Who gave the order? We knew it was you, James. We knew.
Oh, Damon, Damon, Damon. Rhaenyra has a long road ahead of her. Let us talk a bit about Lady Jane Arryn
I'm making
and her
dragon
lack
flying wings. I'm flapping.
and her dragons still wet from the egg.
Mm-hmm. In utero.
She's pretty fucking pissed.
Yeah, but you know what? Raina was like, "You didn't read the terms and conditions." Like, you got what you asked for. You should have
Yeah,
learned to
it
be
was a
more
little
specific.
it is a little fucked up
Yeah,
though.
of course.
Like you promised me a dragon and you sent me hatchlings that can't protect me.
And people
Like
that
what
I
are
now have to
hatchlings?
feed.
Yeah. Like what are hatchlings gonna do against Vagar?
Yeah.
Like Vagar will just eat them like
Mm-hmm.
popcorn.
And she's like, I don't have time for them to grow up, which is fair, you know?
Right, because
Yeah,
the war is happening now.
exactly. Exactly.
As much as they're not having ground battles, like the war is happening. They can keep telling themselves like that it hasn't started, but
Yeah,
it started a long time
it
ago.
really did. And I gotta say, like, I'm seeing this like with Jaceres and I mean Reina's inexperienced, but I want to like I'm thinking about just the level of, I guess, education and diplomacy that these kids have. You know,
Yeah.
like they're being like, yeah, we know they're being sent to treat with people, but like, um, uh, Lady Jane is like, you know, she's like, don't talk to me like that. You're a child. You're a child. But like, Raina's still able to match. She's holding her own. She's holding her
Yeah.
own, and I was super
That's
impressed.
because that is Rhaenys's granddaughter.
Mm-hmm. R.I.P.
My mother-in-law was devastated.
Oh.
She was so devastated that that was her favorite character in the whole show.
One of my coworkers texted me, and she was like, "I finally watched the episode. I can't stop crying." And I was like, "Yeah,
It
I'm
got spoiled
sorry."
for my father-in-law.
No.
Yeah, because he didn't realize that he didn't watch last week. So when we started episode 5 and it was doing the recap, he was really confused. Like, wait
Mm,
a minute, I didn't see this. And of course, they show you Rhaenys's death.
yeah.
And he was like, no,
Shout out
I
to
didn't
your
see the last
father-in-law who's like watched
episode.
along like both series.
Yeah. Yeah, they both love it. But yeah, so he said that he was gonna watch it today, watch 4 and 5. So he was
Yeah.
pretty sad that it got spoiled for him.
Oh
So he
man.
didn't finish episode 5 because he was like he would like to at least have something, give him some suspense. So
Yeah.
he at least doesn't know about the king,
You know,
or at least well, until he
I
watches.
feel his pain because remember several seasons ago for Game of Thrones, I told you that my friend spoiled that the
Yes.
dragon died when they were up north. And I was just like, he's
Yes.
like, oh, a dragon dies. And I was like, why would you tell me that? Because he watched the leaked episodes. And I
Yeah.
hung up on him. I hung up on him
Good.
and I didn't talk to him for like a week. He's like, it's not
Yeah, I
that
remember
serious. I'm
you
like,
told me
yes,
about
it
that.
is.
No, it is that serious. I remember you told me about it, and I was so thankful that you didn't spoil it for me.
Dude. And let me talk
'Cause
about, yeah, go ahead.
no, I was just gonna say because it's like you wanna experience it. You
Dude.
wanna watch it and like experience things happen. That's why I get why people don't want to read the books. They want to
Yeah.
just like see what
Yeah.
happens.
And I,
And that's why I haven't been doing rereads. Like there are a lot of things that I remember, but I've been trying not to really look
yeah.
things up
Yeah.
because I want well, one, the show is going to change things too. So I don't, even though we do some comparisons, but not like whether or not it was a good or a bad change, just kind of like, oh, well, this is how it happened. But I want to be able to watch it and experience it, as like a new story.
Yeah. And I gotta say, like, even though I didn't know which episode it was gonna happen in, but when it happened, I cried like a baby. I was
When the
bawling.
dragon died or when
Yes.
Rhaenys
No,
died?
when the
Oh.
dragon died.
Mhm.
What's the name of that dragon? Shoot, which one was that?
Viserion.
Viserion. When Viserion, like dude, my friend came into the apartment and he was like, "Oh my God, what happened? Did somebody die in your family?" And I was like, "No, dragon." He was like, "Yo, get." He was like, "I can't believe you." He turned around and walked back out. But yes, you guys, it is that serious. Like I was hanging out with the friends, like, please don't talk to me. Shh, shh. You can't tempt me with your wiles. Oh, man. Yeah, man. Whew.
Quick thing. We talked about Rhaenyra and Mysaria, but we did not mention Mysaria.
Alinda?
Hmm?
Are you talking about Alinda?
Not kind
Okay,
of. I was
okay.
gonna say
Sorry.
we didn't talk about Mysaria telling her to let others do for you what you can't do, or whatever.
Mm-hmm.
What you won't do.
Yes. Allow
um
yourself to be helped.
Yeah, and it's very similar to what Damon said to Will, was it Willem Bracken Blackwood,
Yeah.
when he's like, there are certain things the crown can't be seen
Doing.
doing.
Yeah. Yeah.
It was kind of, Mysaria was kind of saying the same thing, like, let other people do for you. And so, and Mysaria, has an ear to the ground and knows what's what with the common people. And I'm guessing she believes she can get them on Rhaenys' side. Um, so they send Alinda away to do something.
Yeah. I gotta say, I'm making
Why
a
are you making
face
that
because
face?
I honestly I was a little bit distracted by her acting in this scene. I don't know what it was about it, but it just felt like I don't know. I just maybe a bit contrived. I'm like, no shit, like I can't act, right? I mean, maybe, but um it just there was just something about the delivery. It like I didn't believe it. It felt like I was like, well, how are you knowing these things? I just for some reason in this particular scene, she didn't sell it for me. That's neither here nor there. She was right. Send help. You can't do it yourself. And then we get Alinda coming to King's Landing, sneaking through the gates.
Yes. And telling, the what's it called? Gold Cloak is like, she's alive. And
Mm-hmm.
it kind of shows you how much sway she held
Yeah,
and still holds just by her name.
exactly. What did she say? She's
Because
like, do you think she would not die without collecting her due or some shit like that?
yeah, yeah. Did you realize who she met with?
Was it the same one that Damon did? Let through the Damon met at the gate?
No, no, no. I mean, after the gold, no,
Oh,
because the one
oh,
that,
when she went
like,
to the
remember
house
the
of
one that let,
is it Hugh? Hugh's wife?
oh no, it was
Oh,
Diana,
Diane. What?
the servant girl that Aegon raped.
Oh no, I didn't peep that.
That's who answered the door.
Oh,
I had to watch again and like look for her face. And she's like, Elinda? And it's like, yeah, they worked in the same castle together for years.
right. Oh yeah, I didn't peep it
Um,
was her. Because she was in, didn't we see her? You mentioned that it was her in one of the last
yep,
episodes.
at the tavern where we met Ulf the White.
Got it. Okay. Yeah, yeah,
She was
yeah.
the one being harassed in the tavern.
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm.
Now at the end of the scene, we saw some guys galloping through the woods. Who was that?
I feel like I missed that.
It was weird. Like, I couldn't see sigils. I watched it on my TV, but then I rewatched it on my projector, so it's not as clear. But I didn't see sigils. If I did, I wasn't looking. I may not have been looking close enough. Um, but yeah, I have no idea who those people were. It wasn't like an army. It was like six guys or something.
Hmm. Hold on, I'm going through my notes to see if I have anything from there. No, I didn't. I don't think I saw that. Yeah, no,
Hmm.
no.
I feel like I need to watch it again. I was really confused at that point because I was
Oh
like, who the hell is
no, not one more time.
that?
Wow.
Uh, well,
Right back to Corliss.
yeah, Rhaenyra and Bela
Mm-hmm.
sit together and remember Rhaenys, which I thought was a really sweet moment.
very sweet of Rhaenyra to acknowledge. Like, yes, that was her aunt too, right? And she's like, obviously, all the things that are important about Rhaenys, but like, she's like, you know what, this, you don't have a mom. This was,
And now, and that was, now you've lost your grandma.
yeah, yeah.
And your no count daddy's nowhere to be seen.
It's like, do you even have a daddy anymore? Yeah, that was really sweet.
So she gives Bela something to pass on to Corlys, which we find out is Hand of the Queen pin.
Let me ask you a question, because when I saw that
Yes.
box, I was like, OMG, OMG. When she first hands it, I was like, is that the box? Like, I knew it had to be in it. But am I recognizing that box from somewhere else? Is that box in Game of
I
Thrones?
don't know.
Like, I feel like I may have remembered it from Game of Thrones, but maybe I didn't. I'm gonna have to like go and look that up, because maybe it's an Easter egg, but maybe my mind just wants it to be connected since we trying so hard with this show.
I have no idea. I didn't recognize it from anything.
Yeah. Hmm.
Well, Bela and Corlys, Bela kind of treats him, she gets him together.
Mm-hmm.
You know, she's like, Rhaenys died a dragon rider's death, which is how she wanted to go,
Mm-hmm.
how my mama went, and how I want to go.
Mm-hmm.
And she wasn't just your wife, a
Exactly.
thing that was taken away from you.
Yeah.
Like
She was a
she's
Targaryen
Rhaenys, the
princess,
Targaryen princess.
the queen who
Yes.
never was.
So she gathers him, and I really like that.
But you know what?
And what?
Before we go on to like what she's presenting, but I feel for Corlys because he's right, right? They were in love. We see all these really tender moments between them, so the loss is felt really deeply. But he also has a point. He's like, she's had enough from this house. I lost a son, I lost a brother, I lost a daughter, and now I've lost a wife.
Yeah.
You just erasing my line.
And he lost a
And
grandson,
he lost a grandson.
kind of.
He acknowledged him. He acknowledged him as a
Yeah, he
son.
did. He did. He did.
He did.
Even though he knew, but he did.
We all knew.
Well, he tried to name Bela his heir, which I thought they were gonna name Rhaena the heir, since Bela would be the next queen.
Yeah, actually, now that you say that, it would have made more sense to name Raina, but maybe it's just like, maybe it's because Bela is there, right? Raina, we
Yeah.
know, is off being fucking nursemaid to the babies, and like, yeah. But it's crazy to like be the queen and also be um the heir to Driftmark.
Well, she doesn't want it anyway.
She doesn't want it.
I don't want it.
I don't want it. I'm blood and fire. You need salt and
Driftmark
sea.
must pass to Salton Sea.
Yo, I cheered. I was so gassed to hear that.
So now we have to find out who is this salt and sea that it's gonna pass to. Dun, dun, dun. They've been
Dun
giving us
dun
hints.
dun.
They've been giving us hints over several episodes.
Sure
I still
have.
feel like I shouldn't say it,
Don't
just
say
in
a
case
fucking
someone hasn't put it
word.
together. But
Uh,
they've been giving us hints
mhm,
who the salt and sea might be.
mhm.
Well, Corlys sits and he considers it. We don't know what his answer is, but he considers it. Um, oh, we get Aemon staring at the Iron Throne.
I love that shot.
Yeah, it was beautiful.
I love that shot.
And Helena asks him if the price was worth it.
Yeah.
Because again, she's been ignored this whole episode.
Baby's dead. Husband's all fucked up. Nobody's talking to her. No one's checking for her.
Yeah.
She's just wandering around like a ghost in the castle, unseen,
Yeah.
unheard,
Dressed all in black.
dressed all in black.
Like the omen. Have your friend saying, "This is for
This
my homies.
always,
Do you
you
know
know
me?"
me. Yes. But you know
Oh,
what? I also really appreciated that scene because he didn't go sit on the throne, you know?
no.
He's like, I mean, Aemon does a lot of things, but he's not stupid, you know?
Uh-huh.
It's just like he's constant. I feel like he knows what is required of a king. And I feel like even though he's regent, he's not the king. right?
Right.
He's king. He's original. He's not the king. And he knows that it's not really his place until he's like called to like have to sit on there. But it's like he doesn't really want it yet either because he does things. I don't want to say he does things the proper way because obviously he's got a little bit of rogue prince in him too. But yeah, I really like that they didn't have him ascend.
So I don't think it's that he doesn't want it. I think he very much wants it. Um, he just may not be so presumptuous as to
Yeah, that's what
just
I mean. He's
take
not going
it.
to climb up there and take it. He's like, no, the brother's got to die first because if I saw him walk up on them, like, I know he's Regent, but you ain't king. I'd be like,
And I mean, and even in the council meeting, when they're like, okay, so he's regent, like he was completely ready to go and pick up the marble and sit down
mm-hmm.
in the king's chair and immediately get to business. He already had his list of tasks. Like he's been ready
Exactly.
for this whole time.
I mean, and I feel like that's further evidence that, like, what you're talking about, that they've been talking behind her back, right? They've been
Mm-hmm.
conspiring behind her back. Real quick, shout out to Alice's marble because that was really cool. I like it was like white with like blue swirly thingies on it, and hers was my favorite one.
Allison's?
Yeah, Allison's.
I didn't pay attention
Go
to it.
back, pause on that frame.
Hmm.
Yeah, yeah.
Well, even though Helena is ignored, Helena doesn't seem like she really checked on Egon, but what?
I'm laughing real quick because I'm thinking about like Damon's scene with his mom, right? And I just for some reason it made me think of Lady Macbeth, you know, like out, damn spot. I don't know why. Um, as you can see, I read Shakespeare. No, I'm kidding. Yeah, Allison's in there. She's mommying, kind of.
Did you catch with the subtitles on that he said mummy?
I did. I did. I did. And my note here was that hold on. It was something about back to Rhaenyra about fighting for her birthright, but that's not my thing about Allison was like she's sitting there. She looks bored, right? She's like, I'm doing this. I am worried about my son, but she's like, my note was like, she's no Catelyn Stark, man. She's no Catelyn Stark.
Catelyn was like, I'm not eating, I'm not bathing, I will shit in this room
Mm-hmm. I
before I
imagine that
take
she
my eyes off
did.
my baby.
I imagine that she did. She must have. The Maester's like, you have a knot left. Look at your hair.
I mean, Allison at this point, I wonder what her regrets are.
They
Was
better be
any of this worth it?
innumerable.
Like, was any of this worth the trouble?
You know, your son is fucked up. Your creepy ass son is like the regent. Your dad has gone away. Your boo broke up with you. Your best friend is estranged. Your grandkid is dead. Your whatever grand nephew is dead. You've lost three dragons.
Three?
I mean, I'm just saying like
Three, yeah,
the sum total
yeah.
of the losses in this war, right? Um, now people are being, yeah, just was it? I mean,
And
to
she now has no household staff because she trusted Laris,
because she
who did
trusted
not have her
Laris.
back.
Yeah. And it's just like to follow this scene, like to take all that into consideration, following Helena's question, was it worth the cost? It really puts it all in perspective, which it hadn't until just now.
Well, because obviously we've talked about the fact that they were gonna they were gonna crown Aegon anyway, with or without Alicent. So even though she came into the meeting like, I have something to tell you, they were gonna do it anyway. So we were still gonna get this war. But I wonder if it would have played out differently if Aegon didn't believe that his father chose him, if Alicent didn't believe that Viserys chose him.
Yeah.
You think anything could have been different? Like, do you think Aegon would have been like, I don't want it?
I think he would have been like, okay, because he didn't want it in the first place. But I think if, like, you mean like if at that point when she was like, if is that what you really think, or you mean before that,
Before, like,
before,
if no, I'm saying if they had crowned Aegon,
yeah,
but without Alicent saying that Viserys changed his mind, because they were going
right,
to anyway.
right.
That was their plan all along, was just to go ahead and crown him as soon as Viserys
Mm-hmm.
dies.
Do I think that this still would have happened? Yeah, because Rhaenyra is still what she wants her claim. I
But I
mean,
mean, I meant as far as Alicent's behavior, Alicent and Aegon,
mm-hmm.
because in this case, Alicent, as even though I believe she wanted her son to be crowned,
Mm-hmm.
if it happened knowing that Viserys didn't want it, would she have acted any differently? And would Aegon have acted any differently? If because when he
Mm-hmm.
was saying he didn't want it, when he found out that allegedly his father wanted it, it kind of changed him.
Yeah. 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 Um, I don't know. I don't know.
What do you think could have played out differently if Alicent was not part of the plot to crown Aegon?
I don't know that it would have been very different. I think that, do you mean Allison's behavior, or like what would it, like would this war have uh you know,
No, the war would have started because they would have crowned him, but what would Alicent's part in it be?
I don't know. I think Otter would have told her to sit down and shut up.
Mm,
Honestly,
yeah.
the men are speaking.
Yeah.
Maybe he would have sent her away.
Well, I don't
Who
know,
knows?
something to think about.
Mm-hmm.
I'm sure it's something that Alicent is thinking about.
Yeah, I hope
Um,
so. All this time on her hands. Now that she's like not getting paid attention to anywhere she goes.
and her boyfriend broke up with her.
Mm-hmm.
Well, we end the episode with Rhaenyra and
Excitement.
Jace. They're talking about Visenya, and he's like, "Oh, you don't want to follow her lead," and she's like, "Why not?"
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
um, I think she is wishing she had a little bit more Visenya in her.
I think so too. I mean, that's your ancestor, you know? She
Yeah,
was a badass. And
and
you're
she
that's
and
your
she
ancestor, she's a badass, but also your aunt just died in a way that like echoes her, you know, her strength and
mhm.
her willing to go to battle, her willingness to go to battle, rather.
So and Rhaenyra wants to go to battle herself, even though her council has just told her like that's out of the question.
Yeah.
She still feels like, well, who else is gonna do it
Yeah. And
if
she
not
says that.
her?
She's like, I have to fight for myself. Everybody else is doing. And it's really interesting to hear her do that because it's kind of like what Jace was saying before, but now Jace has played a role and she's still sitting there
Mm-hmm.
feeling useless, you
But
know?
Jace gets this great idea.
Dude, I was so excited when they
Gets
started
this great
talking about it. I
idea.
fucking squealed.
There's Targaryen blood all over this kingdom because Targaryens be
Mm-hmm.
fucking and
Yeah, they
making
do.
babies.
Mm-hmm. Have a baby by me,
And
baby. Be a millionaire.
exactly. Exactly. And so if it requires I really liked and I found it great that when she said that dragons will only be ridden by dragon
Dragon
lords,
lords.
and she says that like people who just married out, like their descendants blood would be too thin, and he's like, or did they say that just to make us look good because it's Valerian histories that say that?
Exactly. Right, right, right. Propaganda, if you
Yeah,
will.
is it propaganda or is it history?
Yeah.
Dun, dun, dun.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, he has this excellent idea of getting some people to ride these dragons.
I have the name of what they were called, but I didn't say it. I'm not saying it because do we want that to be like a thing where they reveal it?
I mean, is it something to be revealed?
I don't know, but like if people don't know the term, then I don't want to tell them right now.
Because I
But
was about to say it. I have it
yeah,
written
I
out and
have it written
underlined.
too. I have it too. And I just wanted, I feel like let's not say it. And the next episode would be like, haha, we told you so, even though we didn't.
All right, fine, I won't say it.
Yeah,
But there's a name for
there's a
these
name for these
Targaryen
people.
married out offspring. Maybe some bastards just
Maybe.
out there. So
Mhm.
they need some dragon riders. So it's
They need
time to
some
test
dragon
some blood.
riders. Because he points it out, he's like, listen, we got two big ass dragons right under our feet.
And they're chilling. They just need somebody to ride them, and we can
You
find
know,
somebody.
they're on sabbatical.
And we know that there's people out there with Targaryen blood.
Sure
And
do.
I won't recall anyone. I won't say anything. I'm not gonna give any hints because
Nope.
again, I don't want to be spoilery.
I'm so
But
gassed.
I'm very excited to see what we get next episode because again, I did not watch the previews.
Nope, nope, nope.
but I'm so tempted to. I just, well, I thought this episode we were gonna see the Starks.
Me too, because they
They were
showed them
in
in the
the
beginning.
recap.
Exactly. I was like, "Ooh, yes, we're finally going to see the Starks," and maybe that's why he's going to the phrase crossing. You know, like,
Or maybe they just showed us that scene to remind us that the Starks were sending people, so that when he said
mm-hmm.
it, we wouldn't be like, huh?
Yeah, yeah,
Like
maybe.
maybe they think we're a little bit dumb.
Well, speak for yourself. Not you, but you know, the royal we.
Yeah. Um,
Yeah, no, got it.
it
That's
made me
it.
wonder if those people on horseback were Northmen. That scene is still stands out to me as
I'm
like
gonna have to go back and watch it
not
because I
having
honestly
context.
didn't catch that the first or the second time.
I watched it 3 times.
Maybe it's because I broke my rule and like made notes the first time.
Mm.
And I even paused it to take notes, but I felt like it was okay because I didn't start the episode till 9:15. Because I was like in a car when it started. I was like, all right. I gotta like make notes now.
I booked my flight for the next day so that I
Uh-huh.
could be sure to watch it because I wouldn't know if I had a delay.
Yeah. Yeah.
And I planned my day like we were at a party and I was like, we have to leave by 7 o'clock. We're only five
Yeah.
minutes from the house, but I was like, we have to leave by 7 o'clock because I have to give the kids baths because they were in the pool all day
Mm-hmm.
and I have to feed them. And then I don't want anyone to talk to
Yeah.
me after 8:30. I know, I'm like, you're at grandma's house.
Yeah. Let
Like,
someone
here,
else take
grandma,
over.
here are some kids.
Exactly.
I mean, that is kind of what happened. Although Grimlock did watch some of it with me.
Did he?
Yeah, he kind of just played on his iPad though. He
Yeah.
just wanted to be in the mix.
I mean, to be completely honest, like that's for my travel, my upcoming travel this week. I could have traveled on Sunday, but I'm traveling Monday instead.
Yeah,
I
don't
was
want to
like,
risk it.
nope, 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 nope. Whew. I tell you, I got no predictions except for I think that word that we're talking about is going to come up, and I hope we see. I mean, I hope we see the Starks, but I hope we see Old Town maybe a little bit
And
more.
Daron, show us Daron. You brought him up. Let us see him.
We
Let
have
us see what role he's gonna play.
exactly. We have what, two more episodes? No, three more
3.
episodes. Show me the Daron.
There are things that I wanna. No, it's too spoilery.
Yeah.
I'll have to wait until we're not recording.
Mm-hmm.
Um, there are things that I'm hoping that get wrapped up, I'll say.
Mm-hmm. 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 Mm-hmm.
And in 3 episodes, they have been giving us a lot in each episode.
They really have. Like honestly, I don't feel like I've been cheated
No.
yet. Like every episode is just like full and chewy and just like, like I can watch them. I feel like I can watch them the whole season again and still find something, to talk about and still get excited and still have the same visceral reactions to the things that I've seen already. And that makes me really happy.
Yeah.
Whew.
Final
Well,
thoughts?
no, but we can promote book club.
Book club is
Book
coming this
club. Book club.
Sunday. What's the date?
The 21st, I believe.
Sunday, July
Sunday.
21st at 2 p.m. We will be discussing Elantris.
We're finally popping a Brandon Sanderson book cherry.
So join us for Elantris. There's kind of still time to read it. It's not the longest.
The longest of his books. It doesn't have the highest word count. But if you're like Friday night, I don't really want to go anywhere and spend money, then just chill at home, read Elantris. You don't want
Or
to read?
listen to the
Get the
audiobook.
audiobook. Yeah.
Yeah.
Local library and such, except that me and Tanya probably have the copies of it. So buy it.
I returned mine. I
I did
returned
it.
mine.
I'm still listening. That's gonna be my bedtime activity. So yeah. Oh yeah, no
Oh,
final thoughts other than I can't wait for next week.
all right. Same. Well, I have no final thoughts that aren't full of spoilers, so we'll just talk about that offline.
Yeah.
I've been Tanya.
And I'm always Nikki.
To find previous episodes, go to thousandeyespodcast.com. You can also find us on YouTube, A Thousand Eyes in One Podcast. And if you'd like to follow us on social media, we're on Twitter as Thousand Eyes One, Facebook and Instagram, A Thousand Eyes in One. If you're interested in our speculative fiction book club, that is Wine on an Empty Stomach on Instagram.